Time to start. Morning all, thanks for joining us for this session of the Horizon Europe Brokerage on the Rewilding call. For anyone that didn't catch the plenary session, I'm Stuart Connop. I'm a nature-based solution researcher on connecting nature from the University of East London in the UK. I'm an urban ecologist by background, and I have some experience of writing and helping deliver projects under European funding, under FP7, under Horizon 2020. I also sat on I was part of the team behind the MBS evaluation guidebook, and I'm now co-leading the European Commission sub-task force on nature-based solutions and biodiversity. So hopefully that means I have some experience, which I can bring to today, but possibly in the room we have lots more, so it'd be good for you to share that. I'm also being helped today by Philip Haler-Walter, who's a senior officer for biodiversity and green infrastructure at ICLE, also a co-author with me on European funding bids. We've spent many hours at night writing bids together, so hopefully he has some useful input as well. Philip will be keeping an eye on the chat to help me out, and also stepping in if there's any technical problems from my end, which hopefully there won't be. So hopefully together, with all of your help, we can make it a really useful and interactive workshop. So in relation to the ambitions of the summit, it's clear that the European Commission funding represents a key mechanism for delivering nature-based solutions at scale and mainstreaming nature-based solution approaches. So aligning with the main theme of this summit, it also represents a real opportunity to both embed nature-based enterprises into project consortia, to develop networks, deliver products and services, and demonstrate the value of nature-based solution approaches, but also to support the development of new nature-based enterprise startups within these projects. So, as mentioned in the main introduction, what we want to do today is to create a brokerage event that would help introduce specific Horizon Europe topics that have the potential for funding and delivering nature-based solutions, and particularly those that have potential for involving nature-based enterprises. So just before I start the workshop, just a few little housekeeping issues. I'll be presenting a few slides at the start to introduce the topic and give you a bit of an overview of some of the issues around it. Because of the format of these sessions, the presentation can appear a bit small on your screen. I'm not able to switch it to a full screen view from here, but there are two ways that you can do this yourself. Firstly, if you want to see the screen bigger, click on the white square at the bottom of the presentation screen. This will expand it to full screen view for you. Unfortunately, this will hide the chat function, but you'll be able to see the slides much better. As far as I know, the only way to avoid hiding the chat is to use your own computer's zoom screen function. So rather than clicking that square icon at the bottom, you can manually zoom in and out of your own screen. And that way you can kind of keep an eye on the chat as well. I will open the session out for discussion a bit later. I'll also be trying to use a couple of links if technology allows me, one to Menti and one to a Miro whiteboard. I'll put these in the session chat window later. If you have any questions during the presentation, you can ask them in the chat functions. There's two ways to do this. Firstly, you could just type it in the chat, but there is a risk that they get lost a bit in there. So the other option is to click on the Q&A function in the chat. You should be able to add likes to the questions in there to make sure the ones that are most relevant and most interesting get asked. When we get to the discussion section, I have the ability to bring people on stage. I noticed there's a handful of people that have already requested to come on stage. I don't know if that's a mistake or people are dying to get involved in the discussions already, but you can request to come on stage, to request to share your audio and video. I believe this is a blue button on your screen. And as someone who's managed several of these sessions on Hopin, I encourage you all not to be shy. Even if you're sat home in your pajamas, please do get involved, as it helps to make these workshops more engaging and more productive. Lastly, the workshops being recorded will be shared on the Connecting Nature website. So if you do want to get involved, but you don't want your involvement to be shared for some reason, do contact me directly through the chat, and I could connect you with other attendees after the event. Okay, I think that's all of the housekeeping, but do let me know if you have any problems with any of it. If you stop being able to hear me or I freeze, just put something in the chat really quickly. Now, right, on to the main event. Bear with me. So I'll just share my screen, and Philip, perhaps you could let me know if you could see my slides.
Yes, we can see it.
Great, thank you. Yeah, because when I put the slides up, I can't see any of the other screens, so it's really useful. Okay, yeah, as mentioned, so this is a brokerage session for HORIZON-CL5-2022-D1-02-05 call, otherwise or more catchily known as Letting Nature Help Do the Job, Rewilding Landscapes for carbon sequestration, climate adaptation, and biodiversity support. Now, the idea behind these sessions is really an opportunity for all of you, the audience, to get involved, to network, to brainstorm, to put ideas forward and begin to create connections. So, like I said, please don't be shy coming forward, and do ask to join me on stage when you can. The agenda, so I'll give you a quick introduction. We're a bit behind, so I'll try and go through it quite quickly to the call. I'll then open the floor for any questions or specific pitches that anyone might want to make. I've also set up a Mirrorboard for people to put ideas and contact details on, and then we'll try and summarize that and then bring it to a close. Right, so the call topic. Rewilding landscapes. It's a call topic under destination Climate Sciences and Responses for the Transformation Towards Climate Neutrality. So whilst it is a rewilding project, there is a very strong focus on this move towards climate neutrality, climate change adaptation and mitigation. Overall, there's a budget of 17 million euros, and the aim is to fund 2 projects in the region of 8 to 9 million euros each. It's a research and innovation action. So whilst there is a strong focus on developing innovative approaches, there also is an understanding that some of it perhaps isn't market ready, and there is a real need to underpin the innovation with more research. Opening date for the call is 12th of October this year, and the deadline is 10th of February 2022. So it's a single stager, plenty of time. There are, as mentioned, several NBS type calls available this year, but really there's a feeling that the lead-in time for this one is much more appropriate for starting to develop consortia and ideas now. So what's the key focus of this call topic? Well, the key focus is on rewilding to address biodiversity decline, carbon sequestration and storage, climate change mitigation and adaptation. But as has been mentioned already, any projects that can broaden that out even more, aligning with the new EU taxonomy, looking at other ecosystem service benefits of rewilding, would definitely be viewed favourably. For the purpose of this call, rewilding is defined as passive management of ecological succession, restoration of natural ecosystems processes, and reducing human control of landscapings. However, there is a recognition within the call topic that early stage restoration and rewilding may require some human intervention, but it is very much focused on this passive management approach. The call scope clearly leaves opportunity for this to be a nature-based solution approach project, and there is a strong focus on this idea of blended land use. So looking at rewilding in relation to balancing conservation and productive land use objectives. So things like farming, forestry, fishing. And also key within the call scope is this idea of contributing to multiple sustainable development goals, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the more alignment you can have there and the more SDG boxes you can tick with the project, the better it would be evaluated. Right, so key delivery. There's a strong focus on low cost benefit ratio options to restore natural and semi-natural ecosystems. It includes a key focus on assessing ecosystem restoration value with a particular focus on climate change adaptation and mitigation, including looking at rebound effects and trade-offs of approaches. So clearly a really important part of this will be evaluation indicators. There also needs to be a focus on the impact of climate change. So not just what would happen with rewilding methods now, but what the predicted impacts are of, for example, 2 degrees Celsius temperature rises due to climate change. The focus includes a look at the potential of both abandoned land and protected systems. And there is a repeated alignment with the idea of wildfire risk reduction and aligning with projects that are funded under wildfire risk reduction calls. The projects are looking for low cost, low human intervention stewardship models. And there is also a strong focus on looking at the perception and acceptability of citizens in relation to breaking down social barriers to rewilding. There's also a key focus on looking at potential conflicts and trade-offs in relation to governance and decision making. The call looks for use of ecosystems' natural capacity with minimal help from humans. So again, this repeated look at low intervention approaches. There's a call for interdisciplinary research and a focus on building on previous and ongoing experience in relation to rewilding, including building on current uncertainty. There's a focus on a robust assessment of approaches and whether there's a call for addressing specific ecosystem landscape types. So it appears to be open that you could look at several different ecosystems, or you could focus on a single ecosystem type, so terrestrial, freshwater, and or marine. There's a call to look at different scales, so regional, national, and continental scales of impact, and to build on status and trends of ecosystem change to understand when and where is appropriate in terms of targeting rewilding interventions. There's also a call to look at complementarity of rewilding with other landscape management approaches. There's a call to look for innovations in terms of assisting mainstreaming, restoration of fully functioning trophic chains. So this includes scope to look at reintroductions in addition to rewilding approaches, particularly top-level predators. Like many of the calls, there's a very strong focus on inclusion of social sciences and humanities in the excellence approach of the project, and this focus on multi-stakeholder collaboration. Like all of the calls under these nature-based solution topics, there's a real strong alignment with economic development opportunities, exploration of barriers, ecological, social, and gender barriers, and a requirement to cluster with other projects funded under previous calls, but also under calls under the same topics. Again, highlighting the importance of clustering with wildfire projects. And in terms of key impacts, what's expected to be delivered from the projects? Well, there's a focus on contribution to IPCC, EU biodiversity strategy, net zero carbon emission targets. There's a focus on impact in relation to the Horizon Europe mission on adaptation to climate change, including societal transformation. A focus on generating fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable data. A focus on developing methods for integration of land use management systems into IAMs and ESMs. Contribution to knowledge exchange and networking, European platforms, so things like Climate Adapt, Network Nature, OPLA, biodiversity, including exploitation after the project. So there needs to be a focus not just on how you're going to interact with these platforms during the project, but how this will be sustainable and what the legacy will be after the project. Also, exploitation of action results during and after the project, and social innovation. A really strong focus on social innovation in this call in relation to delivering social change, new social practices, social ownership, and market uptake. Okay, thanks for listening. Hopefully that gives you a pretty good overview of the session. Just let me stop sharing for a moment. So I can come back on the screen. Okay, so the next step is to move into a more of a workshop format with 41 attendees. It would be a little bit complex if we were all in the room together. So maybe this will be one of those opportunities where things work better online. But just before I move into that session, I just wanted to look if there's any particular questions or comments that people wanted to make before I move on. Philip, I don't know if anything kind of popped up while I was talking.
No, just Elsa asked for confirmation that there will be 2 projects funded. And,
okay.
With a budget of 8 to 9 million per project funded and a total budget of 17 million. That's the case. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks, Philip. Thanks all. So hopefully that gave you a fairly good overview of the call topic and what's expected. It's a complicated one, but I have seen much more complicated ones. So hopefully it's not too much of a challenge to address. So the next part of this session will be moving more towards this idea of opening up to the audience. First thing I wanted to do was to just find out where all the attendees are from as a kind of introductory thing. So hopefully, if technology doesn't fail me, I've set up a little Menti survey. I'll put the link in the chat. And so if you can all go to Menti, it's not letting me do a link, but if you can go to menti.com and we can try and find out where everyone is, where we have people joining from, to see what kind of geographical scope that we've got. Okay, let me just try to share my screen. Sorry, too many windows open at the same time. Okay, can you see that okay? Okay, so quite a spread already. Lots in Europe. Also, we had a representative from Delhi. Germany seems to be quite well represented. I'll just give it a moment or two more. We've only had, I think we've had 10 people taking part so far. Poznan, nice to see some of our team from Poznan from Connecting Nature on board. Ireland represented. Okay, Krakow, Thessaloniki. Yeah, okay, good. Ireland seems to be very well represented, really kind of dominating the field there. Freiburg, lots of Germany, Scotland on board. A good representative of Italians and the UK. Okay, you can see that, right, Philip? I'm not just talking to myself. Okay, great. Okay, well that's great. It seems yeah, we've got quite a good coverage. Majority appear to be from the EU, but we do have a representative from beyond that. Right. Okay. So the next session, next part of the session is to really open this up. to find out what your interest is in this, particularly to look at whether anyone's already developing consortia who are looking to pick up partners, anyone's interested in taking leadership of a consortia, or if people are particularly interested in getting involved in a certain aspect of the project delivery. So I've organized a Mirrorboard, a whiteboard, to give people the opportunity to kind of put their contact details, show their interest. But just before I do that, I wondered if there's anyone wanted to make a pitch at all before we move into that brokerage event, whether anyone has a consortia they're already developing that they're looking for particular partners, or anyone who wants to state in particular they're interested in leading on this call. I've got 4 people right from the start that asked to be on the moderation panel, so I'll just close those. And if anyone does want to come on stage and join Philip and myself to make a pitch, then please request to share your audio and visual now. If not, I'll move over to the Mirrorboard session.
Stu, there's just one question here in the chat, and it is by Sebastian. He's asking, is there also rewilding in context of cities and urban areas in the scope? We are focusing on cities as a landscape laboratory. Okay,
so I have to put a note of caution here, because as I didn't write the call text, this is probably a question to throw on the funders portal, just to make sure. But from my reading of it and my interpretation of it, there is no specific definition of whether it has to be urban, peri-urban, rural areas. What I would say is, from a lot of the text within the call, I think it would be unlikely that a purely urban project would cover every part of the call text. But I mean, it depends possibly on the urban context. But certainly there's a lot of call around this kind of blended productivity, around agriculture, around fishing and forestry. It's possible to do some of that in urban areas, but perhaps an urban-rural project might cover that better. But like I say, I have to put a strong caveat on that, because I'm not from the European Commission, and I didn't write the call text, so this is just my interpretation of it. I've just seen Rasheen's question as well, so maybe I'll just address that one as well quickly. Because there's such a strong social sciences focus and social acceptance, my understanding is that access to rewilded places would be a really strong part of this, whether it be for recreation or jobs and industry. That social aspect is a very strong part of it. And I've just seen Pinaki's question as well, in terms of the desirable number of partners. This isn't something that's specifically put in the call text. There is a very strong focus on multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary approaches. So I would think it would be quite hard to cover all of those kind of multi-stakeholder and multidisciplinary approaches with a very small partnership. But beyond there, there's no specific guidance on what a desirable number of partners would be. I guess the real answer to the question is that the desirable number of partners is the number of partners able to cover the number of competencies that you need to address the call scope. I don't know if, Philip, you have anything else to add in relation to number of partners?
No, you said it very well. It highly depends on what partners you put together, and obviously what experiences and competencies and qualifications you need to fulfill all the desired outcomes and impacts.
Okay. Right. Okay. That seems to be it for questions for the moment. Unless there's one in Q&A. Okay, that's just the same one. So for all the participants, I've just put in the chat a link to the Mirrorboard that I prepared for this session. So if everyone can click on the Mirrorboard, I'll just change my screen and I'll stop sharing, and then I'll go to the Mirrorboard if I can. Let's see if it's going to let me. Okay. Okay, there seems to be a fair few people in. Is that appearing on the screen? Yes, yeah, that's good. Right, so I've created this Mirrorboard as a kind of mechanism to try and get some engagement, get people networking. So on the left-hand side, someone, it's all getting moved around. On the left-hand side, you will see there are a load of post-it notes. The post-it notes are for you to start writing on and putting your information. So on the post-it notes, what we would like you to write, there's a bit of information in the boxes on the left-hand side, is why you're interested in this call text and what you think you can contribute, your organization, a possible role that you think you can play, and also, if you'd like to be contacted, your email address. And then on the main section of the Mirrorboard, I've tried to categorize a few of the kind of main kind of themes within the call. So there is rewilding. So this is kind of demonstration activities, rewilding to address biodiversity decline. There is assessing the ecosystem restoration value of climate change adaptation. So focus on the evaluation assessment side of ecosystem service benefits. Social innovation in relation to social change, economic development opportunities, so particularly looking at kind of financing, assessing the perception and accessibility. So this is looking at evaluation, but much more around the social evaluation side. There's also a section for anyone interested in project coordinating, which is a really important job, and definitely one that we are looking for people to kind of step forward to into this networking event. And then a last box at the end, which is other contributions. So if there's anything else that came up in that initial discussion, an initial run through, please pop it in under other contribution if you don't feel like it's covered in these boxes. I apologize for the complex nature of Miro boards. I'll try and, if anyone kind of moves anything around that's not supposed to be moved, I'll try and pop it back, so don't worry about it too much. If you focus on putting the post-it notes on, and then we'll go from there. So I'll give everyone a few minutes for doing that, because hopefully there's a lot of you want to contribute, and you might want to put post-its under several different headlines. So if anyone has any problems with using Miro accessing, please do let us know in the chat, and myself and Philip will keep an eye on it. And if anyone's struggling with the headings, and you just want to make just express a general interest that doesn't really come under one of these headings, then stick it in the bottom right hand corner under other contributions. And make sure you remember to add your contact details. And yeah, just a reminder, if anyone is struggling with the post-its or struggling to access it, just drop us a comment in the chat, and we can try and help you out. Okay, still no one in the project coordinator section. I encourage people not to be shy. I know it's quite an undertaking, but it's definitely a kind of the most critical part is finding someone with a real interest in driving this topic forward, and putting the kind of the infrastructure in place and the coordination in place to make sure this goes from a kind of conceptual idea through to delivery and submission. Okay, there's so far there's quite a cluster under the rewilding and the kind of the demonstration side. No, nothing is yet under the economic development opportunities. Is there anyone in the audience that has a particular interest in the financing of nature-based solutions and rewilding approaches? Great. Yeah, we've got a finance one now. Let's have a look. Yeah, Valeria. Good, great. Good to see the ones in there. Yeah, so we've got, it's going okay so far that we seem to have most categories covered. That's really good. Oh, and we have a project coordinator. Possible. Viridian Logic. Whilst you're doing that, I'll let everyone carry on working on it. But because I'm not sure who it is, but someone from Viridian Logic has posted that they're interested in being a project coordinator. I don't know if you'd like to join me on stage and just do a quick pitch in relation to your thoughts on this topic and maybe ideas about taking it forward. If you would like to join me, just click on the button to share your audio and video. Oh, there, okay. Oh, did I do something wrong? Sorry. Sorry, could you request again? Oh, there we go. Oh, no, he's here. I thought I'd clicked the wrong thing for a moment.
No problem.
Hi, Leon. Yeah, thank you for joining me on stage. Yeah, I noticed you've put something in project coordinator. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to just have the floor for a minute or two, just to say what your kind of interest is, and what.
So I've come at this from just being a small consultancy, but having been involved in several smaller projects, mostly based around the UK, but we've also been involved in Europe, in France, as part of the EU Life project, which was pairing river catchments. So as a consultancy, what we do is we figure out where to plant habitats to best reduce flow-related problems like flooding or siltation or soil loss and diffuse pollution. And we've basically made a model which sort of prioritizes where to look and where to place such habitats as interventions against flooding, which is sort of doing the two, approaching climate change from two approaches, which is the effect of climate change and mitigating climate change by restoring habitats, which I feel is in the remit of this proposal call. And in doing so, we've partnered up with several other consultancies, mostly around the UK, about evaluating what the values are of ecosystems in terms of their service delivered to partners, and in which point we're doing basically the GIS and modeling work. So that's our entry. I'm not sure that necessarily puts us in project coordinator role, but it's one of those things that I think more coordinators is better than fewer coordinators.
Yeah, I think just pinning your post-it note to the project coordinator section puts you in project coordinator mode. I mean, certainly from experience that there are you need a project coordinator. You know, that's absolutely clear, and the project coordinator has to have some experience of this kind of project work. But one approach we had on a proposal recently was very much a kind of collaborative coordinator role, particularly if one of the partners doesn't feel that they necessarily have either the expertise or more importantly the time to do all of the kind of project coordinator work for the preparation. So yeah, and that's definitely a role, and certainly your expertise that you have seems to fit very nicely with this call, particularly around looking at this idea of when and where to intervene. So yeah, absolutely.
Indeed. So it's one of those things that there are a lot of people I can see on this Mirrorboard who have various aspects, like where to pilot, and in terms of their expertise between urban and rural. So it would be quite an interesting experience to like gather up that knowledge in terms of this proposal. Full declaration, I'm more the tech guy behind Viridian Logic, and my business partner Angus, I think is pitching later this afternoon, is more the business front end, so he deals with mostly the collaboration part. So in terms of project coordinating, we've done it, but mostly with very small collaborations, say one or two partners.
Okay. No, that sounds great. So before I pick on anyone else, I just wondered if anyone has particular synergies with what Leon's been saying, and might be interested in taking a kind of a co-development role with him. I'll just wait to see if anyone pops up in the moderation panel. Otherwise, I'll start picking on people. Okay, no one's being brave. That means everyone's sat around in their pajamas. Right, let me just have a look at who else we've got. Okay, Gerardo, I see that you're in there. I see you're putting something in around the rewilding and the demonstration. I know you're very interested in the water management side of things, so I wondered if you would like to say a few words about your interest in this call, and also whether your interest aligns at all with Leon's.
Oh, one thing. I think one of the problems with Hop-in is that it doesn't let you have more than 2 people invited.
No, I can have up to 9,
Okay.
but my screen share counts as one of those 9. So I can have 8 people, I believe. So I've just Gerardo's just requested, so he should pop up any moment. But we'll see how it goes. It seems to be a bit slow. Do you want to try again, Gerardo? I'm not sure quite what's happened.
This might be the problem I mentioned. I'll hop on.
Yeah, I can. Hang on. I'll drop you. Gerardo, do you want to try again? I see. Can you, Gerardo? Could you try again, please? I see in the chat you say you're waiting for approval, but I think I approved it the same as I did for Leon. But struggling a little bit to get Gerardo on. Let me just Philip. Are you still there?
Yes, I am there, and I can also not. I can't see Gerardo requesting. Oh, something went wrong. Okay.
Yeah. Could you try again, Gerardo?
And Gerardo, if nothing helps, then yeah, maybe you refresh your page and basically log back in. That worked for me before. I had some audio issues, and it solved it. It would be really great to hear from you, Gerardo.
Also, I note I'm just trying to skim around the board. There's Catalina Neves, social and environmental networking consultancy. I don't know if you'd like to pop up and give a bit of a pitch and state your interest and how you might like to be involved. I see a comment from admin support saying, please refresh your page. Is that for me or for Gerardo?
I assume it's for Gerardo because he had issues to share his audio. Yeah.
I just did.
Thanks,
yeah, I
admin.
don't know what's happening. Maybe I'm reluctant to try and refresh mine. I think we're kind of getting towards the end of the session anyway. I'll ask if there's anyone else that would like to try to just join us and do a last-minute pitch before I start wrapping up. Please do request to share now. Otherwise, I'll I'll do a quick wrap up and let everyone go. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Gerardo. It seems like technology is letting us down for some reason. So I thank you for all your contributions to the networking board. I'll leave that open, so if people want to carry on adding to that behind the scenes, please do. The recording from this and the details from this, the contact details and the expressions of interest, will be shared after the event. So from the looks of it, we've got quite a lot of interest. There seems to be the board's a little bit of a mess. This isn't a problem you have when you make a physical whiteboard, but I'll sort that out behind the scenes. But it does seem like there's lots of interest. There are organizations expressing interest under all of those headings. As Leon mentioned, there's potential interest for a kind of a co-leadership role as well. So there's definitely scope there. As I said, all of these contact information will be shared. So if people want to follow up with individuals and start to develop consortia, that's great. We could also potentially email participants directly to put you in touch with each other if that's okay. So hopefully that session's been useful despite these minor technical difficulties. I would like to thank everyone for taking part and remind you that there's still plenty more stuff to get involved in at the Nature-Based Summit today. The next program is a networking and expo booth session, and that will be followed by another capacity building session too. One last reminder, there is a poll in the events chat about feedback on market supports for nature-based solutions. If any of you haven't taken part in that poll yet, I strongly encourage you to please take part in that. And as I think that's about it. I was told to wrap up at 10:25, so that's not too bad. Elsa, it should be, if you go to the events chat and then polls rather than the session chat.
And Stu, thank you so much for putting this together. It's a great format to bring together these partners. I know it's a bunch of work to put all this up.
No problem at all. I just hope it was useful. And yeah, like I said, hopefully this will be the first step to building some links between some of those interested in this call. So thanks all. Yeah, if you have any specific questions following up from that, I'll be around for the rest of the day. So just please do pop them in the event chat, and I'll try and get back to you. And do keep adding post-its to the whiteboard if there's anything that springs to mind. Thanks all, and hopefully see you in another part of the Nature-Based Solutions Summit.